Yo, it's good. It's your man, 100 grand Ross with The Rock Never Stops. The Detroit Pistons are betting on their young core. And you know what? I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it. Moving into this offseason, I think a lot of people saw the teams with cap space. And I think as ESPN normally does, they, pump up a lot of the free agency and what people could be making and, what the market is looking like. And they kind of basically like to spend other people's money for them. They basically look at your salary cap in the room that your team has and they go, you know what they should do? Something. They should go spend it on somebody. They should go get that guy. And what's really important as a fan is you recognize that they're doing this basically to clickbait you. They're trying to drum up your energy and move you in a direction that they get to kind of market off of. But if you're not careful, if you're not paying attention, you'll miss what your team is actually trying to do. You see, let me just start off by saying, next offseason is just as good as this offseason. It's nothing more spectacular, less spectacular. If anything, there's probably more talent actually available. But when it comes to the Detroit Pistons, you need to listen to the general manager, the team president, the head coach. You need to look at the moves that they've been making. You need to look at what they have been saying in interviews about the state of their team. For this team, despite the large amount of cap space, I think Troy Weaver said something that's very important to recognize. Is he said that we still don't know what we have yet because we haven't seen all of our guys together. You see, Troy Weaver has done a remarkable job of bringing in, drafting, trading for young, extremely talented, not regularly talented, not pretty good guys. He has almost a roster full of guys that could potentially start on almost any NBA franchise if they develop in the direction that they're trying to develop them. Head coach Dwayne Casey, who's now in the front office, has done a remarkable job of creating a team identity, a standard, a foundation of accountability, competitiveness, and at the same time has given these young guys opportunities to grow and develop their game. Shout out to the Detroit Pistons. But sometimes where that lands you is that you have an abundance of young talent that needs to grow, that needs room to grow. Anybody who likes to garden like I do know that you can't just slap a whole bunch of plants in the same spot. They all need sunlight. They all need water, nutrients from the soil. And if you have all these plants competing, then some of them are going to die. And such as with the Detroit Pistons, they have a dearth of talent. They have multiple, and I mean multiple, extremely talented big men on this team. Between James Wiseman and Jalen Duren, I know most of the Detroit Pistons fans side with Jalen Duren, and I'm not mad at that at all. If you watch him in the first half of the season, he was remarkable playing on both ends for a very young 18-year-old rookie in the NBA. He has great physical measurements, physical tools, athleticism, mobility, timing, really good touch, great physicality. He doesn't shy away, but he's still learning the nuances. Come to find out, he was playing with an injury the whole time. We didn't know. It wasn't until the second half of the season where they started saying like, yo, we're going to address this, that we really began to see like, oh, he was already dealing with something. Imagine when he comes back next year, healthy, 100%, building on top of the playing time and things that he learned last season. Then they got James Wiseman, the number 2 pick in his draft. Incredibly talented, skilled, gifted. But if you watch him, he still looks like a baby deer fondling. He looks like Bambi out there. He's still kind of trying to find his feet, his footwork. He's still kind of bumbling and fumbling over himself, and is he in the right place or not? And even though he showed flashes, which he often does, of what it could look like when he puts it all together. Elite rim protection, a great pick and roll, pick and pop option, great touch, feathery touch around the rim, nice jump shot, being able to shoot out to the three-point line, He shows a lot of great tools that is already better than most NBA starting centers. And if he ever puts it all together, remember, he's still young. NBA big men take longer to develop. If he ever puts it all together, he's an all-star. Multiple-time all-star, dominating in the NBA for a long time. And this is not to mention Isaiah Stewart and Marvin Bagley, who look like long-time serviceable big men. They will have long careers in the NBA. They're not going to flame out from what they've shown already. If they just build on top of that, they're going to be long-term either NBA starting or first big off the bench like a Bobby Portis for the next 10 years. And then you got the backcourt. Cade Cunningham and Jaden Ivey played only a handful of games together before Cade Cunningham went down. The beautiful part about it is it allowed Jaden Ivey to explore his point guard skills in the NBA. He was not being brought in to be the starting point guard. You have to remember that. But like many NBA franchises do with their extremely talented shooting guards, off guards, is they like to give them playing time at point to develop their playmaking, facilitating, and ball handling skills. And he had a whole season of being able to do that without the number one pick in the draft 2 years ago, Cade Cunningham, who is your incumbent, future and present, current starting point guard. There is no debate about this. There is no competition for the starting point guard spot. It's Cade Cunningham's. And you went a whole season without seeing what this duo is going to really look like when they are in their proper pecking order. Cade Cunningham 1, Jaden Ivey 2. You still didn't have Jalen Duren starting alongside of a Jaden Ivey and Cade Cunningham, even in the handful of games that Cade Cunningham played. You see, there is a curiosity that you should have about this team at this point. And this is why, after this draft, bringing in Asar Thompson, who, for all intents and purposes, looks like he's going to be an incredible long-term NBA player. His defensive skills, dedication, focus, his length with a 7-foot wingspan at 6'7", great athleticism. Even if he's not in the top 1%, he's in the top 3. Right? He doesn't have the 40-inch vertical. He just has the 35-inch vertical. Right? Extremely fast, explosive, quick twitch player with a lot of skill, can shoot the ball, needs to refine his game, but he looks incredibly talented as well and is going to need playing time. Then you got Marcus Sasser, which everybody's excited about. Looks like he could become one of those dynamic scoring guards off the bench for them as well. Not to mention Isaiah Livers, Killian Hayes. They've got plenty of guys that they still need to discover what they can do for this team. And so before you start following what ESPN is saying that your team needs to do, go out and get Jeremy Grant, go out and get Kyle Kuzma, go out and get Cam Johnson, and spend all their money right now. You need to listen to your organizational heads. You got to listen to the coaching staff. You got to listen to the guys who are there every single day who are saying, look, I've seen these guys in their workouts. I've seen them throughout the summer. I've watched them in practices, in games, in big games, in small games, and observing them, I know where they are at and what they are needing. And what they're needing, if you listen to Troy Weaver, is not another player who's a finished product who's going to come in and take minutes away from them. I hope y'all heard that. I hope you were listening. Because if you are, you can get excited about what your team is actually building, instead of just following what somebody else who's less invested in your team thinks that they should do. You see, I'm excited about it too. Let's not forget, Cade Cunningham, Jaden Ivey in the backcourt is a 20-plus points per game scoring combo just in your backcourt between the two of them. Cade is going to average over 20. Jaden is going to average over 20 likely next season. You've got two dominant centers who are going to either be playing alongside of each other, like an Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen did. And they're going to see who is going to pan out between the two. Shoot, they may even bring one off the bench with Isaiah Stewart starting at power forward, who's learning how to stretch the floor. Marvin Bagley III learning to stretch the floor and bring his game together. That training camp is going to be amazing to watch. I would love to be a fly on the wall. I hope they do real training camp and let us see those boys compete day in and day out. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine your starting five of let's say, James Wiseman, Isaiah Stewart, Bojan Bogdanovic, Cade Cunningham, Jaden Ivey going up against Killian Hayes, Marcus Sasser, Asar Thompson, Marvin Bagley III, and Jalen Duren. And I'm not throwing out those fives, especially in the front court, as if I know or saying this is what it should be. I'm saying just the possibility. These boys are going to be competing night in and night out in the practice alone before they even get to the game. This team has so much for you to be excited about. So whether they spend all their money right now or next season after Wiseman becomes a free agent, or when they can go out and try to get another big time, let's say power forward, swing man, or something of that nature, don't worry about when they spend it. They've already spent their time, their energy, their investment where it already should be, in these young guys. So next season, let's get excited about what you already have, Detroit. And don't worry about who you might bring in or who you don't have. With that, I'm out. This is Ross with The Rock Never Stops. Smash that like button for me if you enjoyed the video, or if you agree or disagree, get at me in the comment section. You know I respond. Like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and I'm out.